a sudden becomes weak. That didn't happen.
Let's see if we're going to get that draft here. As the Battleground is ready for game number 2 and has been chosen, we are going to Sky Temple, and it has been picked up by the Zealots. So you may get your wish here. The draft that we see from Good Guys actually does work well on this map.
They could play it, yes. We've seen them prioritize it heavily on other maps. Cursed is a very good example, and also on Towers of Doom, for example. Sky Temple, on the other hand, you can play with the globals. If they decide to go into any kind of Illidan shenanigans, they can play it here as well with the pseudo-global that the Hunt provides you with. But I could definitely also see them try and branch out in a different draft here. But they definitely have to make sure that they're not tilting in voice right now. There's a lot of strain on newer teams, and we pointed out in the past that TGG is actually the youngest team. So not from the age of the players in the team, but they formed just barely before the playoffs in the Open Division started and were able, with 2 wins in tournaments, to get themselves a spot in the playoffs and made it into the Crucible. So they've been playing together as a unit for the shortest time out of all the teams that we find in HGC now. But they need to make sure that their communication is good, and they need to make sure that they're not tilting now that they lost the game, the first game, in that fashion. Yeah,
their experience is limited together. We'll see if they can pull through here, as we'll be heading straight into Sky Temple. And me personally, I'm actually kind of hoping for some BKB stitches. For some reason, it feels like when this team is able to get momentum, when they're able to get a pick, they look much better in team fights. If they're having a point where they're struggling and they lose a member, that's where they just seem to crumble.
So they want to go for the Tassadar first ban, apparently, once more, and decide to switch it up into the Genji ban instead.
Make your opponents ban the Tassadar.
Are we really already at that spot?
I think so, man.
I mean, you still have Uther that he can ban out. There's a couple other heroes that he could ban too. Tassadar has seen a massive resurgence, and he's being played more and more at the same time. I don't need a throwback to the time where basically every single second ban that we had in the game was a Tassadar autolog. So we're not there yet. So it would be cool if the Zealots prioritize bans a little bit differently. I think Uther is still a massive problem. And the Zealots are actually also probably at this point thinking about a couple of the potential target bans, Illidan being one of them.
Sure.
The Good Guys were so successful with their Illidan composition that a lot of teams started to ban out Illidan very early on against them. But it's first of all Uther, as expected. I mean, Genji and Uther are just like the top 2 heroes at this point.
They are the staples, but Team Good Guys, they take the other staple here, as Tassadar will be packed up. So, Tassadar is in the mix, Tracer and Abathur.
Okay.
The counter pick here for the Zealots.
So even without the Tassadar, picking the Tracer, just deciding that instead of running it with Tassadar shields, they have Abathur available to help out with the symbiote, and also the potential copy for double Tracer. The only thing that's more annoying than one Tracer is 2 Tracers.
Double the cavalry. All right, so Abathur and Tracer have been picked up for the Zealots. To the left, Team Good Guys can decide what they want to move into. We keep talking about the Varian issue, but Varian has kind of not been the straight-up pickup. The only first team that we saw actually use him was Expert, where they use Varian as a way to shut down Tracer, but his wave clear just really hurts a lot. Instead, they go the other route. They grab Dahaka and Greymane. Dahaka helps with the Abathur pressure and allows for you to at least have a strong foundation for whatever tank will be coming your way.
So that also says that we are going to see the Greymane mainly being supported by Tassadar, which is interesting. I did not expect that to be the way to go for them.
It's doable. I think you go for the armor at 4, you don't go for the lifesteal. While the lifesteal can be great, you don't really get that much benefit out of it as you would a Tracer, an Illidan, or of course maybe even a Vala. But it's doable, so we'll see what's going to happen here. There's also the possibility too, even though Dahaka has been picked up, and you want to be crazy, you can go for Illidan and just go for a non-main tank.
You mean that they could go full NA?
Yeah, they could go full NA. It works, man, I'm telling you.
Roll20 did it.
Yeah, it works. If you just grab another healer here and you grab the Illidan, it works.
Was it Roll20?
I'm going to say yes, because Roll20 seemed like a team that would run it.
I remember that was played, I think, yesterday.
Yeah, because they went for the Medivh and the solo tank Dahaka.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
exactly.
Yes, that's what you're talking about. They didn't have the Illidan, but they had the Medivh Dahaka.
All right, so we're going to find out soon enough if the Good Guys are going to add a main tank to this, or if they're going to run a full NA combo. But jokes aside for a second, we have actually seen from the Chinese also a few combos where they do not go for a main tank, but with Illidan in the mix, they feel they have enough at the front line with the Dahaka, or sometimes even without him, to sustain the front line and just drive the fight so that their backliners have enough space to dish out the damage and be safe. So that could be something that they are planning to do, but for now, we have Rhaegar and Myrddin taken. Myrddin great with the Abathur as well. Later on in the game, if you want to go for Skullcracker and sometimes even give him the axe, Abathur is amazing with this.
That he is. Being able to give him that attack speed, Skullcracker coming in there, just popping out those 3 attacks, give the stun, give him the axe, and you shred everyone. And meanwhile, you have Pesky Tracer getting kills on the side, so it's quite an annoying composition.
One of the reasons why Myrddin is really strong with Abathur on level 16 is that if you actually decide to go into give him the axe, you proc off slows, and Abathur with a symbiote on 16 can slow anything he hits. So if you have already the extended range on your Spike Burst on 1, and then you have the slow on 16, that's amazing synergy for Myrddin. We've seen in the past Myrddin with an Abathur just going up against 3 people and winning the fight. So it can be insane, the sustain that he has through his own thunderclaps that he has available to himself, of course. And then on top of that, you also have a situation where the Soma Transference as the level 16 talent heals, the 13 talent for Abathur gives you even more sustain.
All right, so Auriel and Varian will be the last pickups here for Team Good Guys. Varian to help out that Tracer, and we have the wave clear that's necessary to make sure that if you have the Varian, you can at least deal with that. Dahaka and Tass that are helpful, Greymane as well. Please, if you get a Varian on your team in Hero League, make sure to pick up that wave clear because he really needs the help.
Yeah, and also if you have a Varian in Hero League, make sure that you take Taunt and not Twin Blades.
Colossus Smash, there are times that Colossus Smash can work.
Yeah.
There are times, Caldor.
Twin Blades belongs in the quick match.
And when you're attacking the core.
And Wood League.
And when you want like solo bosses. So if you hit any of those check marks, you can make it happen. Dude, it's pretty legit on Warhead Junction, man. Like if you get all of your teams pushing in and you get an advantage, you're like, you know what? Level 10's happening. I'm gonna go solo these bosses. You can get it done.
If you meet this guy in your Hero League games, it's absolutely okay to report him for non-participation if he goes Twin Blades.
And after you report me, make sure to message me so I can say you're welcome for the victory. All right, let's go ahead and get ready for the next match here. We're going to be moving into Sky Temple.
Do you not have to win first before we can say that? If you go Twin Blade Varian, I highly doubt that.
Check my match history the last couple days, man. It's looking pretty good. I got a lot of cabbages floating around. No tomatoes as of late.
You do know that brawls don't count, right?
Oh, that hurt. That hurt, Caldor. Brawls are fun, though. Brawls are fun.
They are. Give me back the pool party.
Looking at the draft here, who do you think's going to win?
I actually think that the Zealots have this. I like the Varian as a counter to Tracer, but I'm not really sold on the Auriel, Tassadar, Greymane with a Varian just yet. I think if you want to go up for a blow-up comp with Varian and with the Varian and Greymane, I would much more like them to go into a Liming or any kind of other damage dealer that has that output. So that's the one thing where I'm worried a bit that they can't burst the target fast enough before Rhaegar helps out with the Ancestral Healing. So I don't see the clear direction that we have on the side of the Good Guys. They have a lot of good heroes, they have a lot of decent synergies, but I don't see the idea behind it where with other drafts, when you add a Liming, for example, it's clearly a good blow-up comp.
Sure.
If you have an Illidan over a Greymane, or if you have a Lunara or a Vala, you are clearly just putting all your eggs into the hyper carry basket with the double support. So like that, I'm not quite sure if Greymane can really deliver to that extent. They might surprise me here, but overall, I think the draft that we see for the Good Guys is a little bit more crisp.
All right, well, we'll talk more about it as we go into the map here. It's going to be Sky Temple for game number 2. Zealots is up ahead. See Tracer taking on Varian.
Game number 2. Sky Temple is the map as we are heading into the second game with Kronos playing the support again on the Auriel. We have Dahaka played by BKB on the side lane. Xay on a Tassadar. And Anti-Hero is playing the front line this time with Varian. As Raid Boss takes, as usual, the damage dealer. He finds himself on Greymane.
On the right side, Zealots here will be playing the Tracer composition, and running that Tracer will be Poik. Zarmany will be on Arthas, Shad on Abathur, Mopsio on Myrddin, and Grandpa on Rhaegar. And so I will say, for Team Good Guys, what I do think they have here is after level 10, they can force fights very well with that Varian engage. Of course, Tassadar can go force wall into Detainment Strike, and then Greymane can bring out that damage. But I do see your point here, where it might be hard for them to kill that Myrddin, to kill that Arthas.
Yeah, so the downside of the Good Guys draft is that I think it's a mix of everything.
Yeah.
So you are trying to get a double support, but you don't really have that heavy hyper carry that can also at the same time provide Auriel with a massive amount of hope. They use Greymane for that, but the traditional way would to either go with an Illidan here, or even more so a Lunara or a Vala. And if they want to aim for a blow-up comp, then it would have been great for them to add the Oriel or any other kind of burst damage on top of a Cursed Bullet after Taunt. What I like though is if they are trying to simply go on targets after level 10 with Taunt and Cursed Bullet, then they always trade up when it comes to cooldowns. If Rhaegar feels forced to drop the Ancestral and they simply move back by the time they see Ancestral coming through, they are trading up in cooldown since Ancestral has just such a higher cooldown than 16 seconds that we see on Taunt and the 30 that we have on the Cursed Bullet. So that's a win. So if they use those whenever they are online and just threaten up to the point where they can lock down a kill, that I think I would like. I think in that case they would have a decent chance that at some points the Zealots miss out on a heal, miss out on saving a target, and once you get the kill, you can really play around it. But I still would give the upper hand to the Zealots with that draft.
Don't forget about the defensive capabilities too. Oriel can negate a pulse bomb with their ages. You have Tassadar. We'll see it 4 if he gets a resistance. I don't know, we'll see. Zealots here still looking pretty strong here. Moving in for the fight. Pulse bomb comes out, and well, they can't negate that pulse bomb as he gets picked off. Chrono's in trouble too, and this is what Caldor was talking about, this early game advantage.
Exactly. So right now, with what we're seeing here, you have, of course, a lot of aggression out of the Muradin and Arthas. They are very difficult to kill for the good guys. Then you have, on top of that, also, of course, Abathar, who decided to go into a Carapace play, so we're not seeing him with that full focus on team fight, supporting either Tracer or later on Muradin, or even Arthas. Arthas already providing a lot of slows here. I think just overall what we're seeing from the Zealots is pretty strong, and the early game tells the same tale. Keep in mind, this is an Abathar composition, so they are losing out on fights where they should at least be able to trade even.
Yeah, they're also missing out on experience here in the middle. Finally, Tassadar will get over there, but they missed about 5 to 6 minions as they were trying to take over the temple in the middle. While Zarmany has just rotated to the top and grabbed his own temple, continuing to push it in and sets up a trap here for Dahaka as Muradin is right below. So Zealots hold on for now, but they also grab Giants. They are just putting pressure on this map here, even with an Abathar on their comp.
Kala's Light has been taken as the level 4 talent for Tassadar. We talked about this a bit during the draft, and you mentioned that with the Greymane it makes sense to give him the extra armor. It's not only the Greymane that benefits from it, it's also your front line. You don't have that heavy auto-attacker outside of Greymane that benefits from Life Leech. So in this case, Dahaka and Varian are 2 additional targets that can be protected by shields and the extra armor once that Zealots go for lockdown attempts. And it also, of course, helps against Tracer.
4 more levels, Taunt will come online and help with that Tracer, but before then, should have some more mercs continue to get picked up. In fact, Rhaegar's working on that in the top lane, and Zealots are doing their best here to move towards that level 10 before the next temple sets up. They'll be around level 9 when that does occur, unless they get a couple of picks.
Now, we've seen those 2 kills against Team Good Guys, but they are still the team that picks up the level 7 talent a little bit faster. So they didn't fall too far behind in experience, which is super important here. So they are still good when we're talking about fighting the next few battles here.
Zealots are just all over the map right now. Team Good Guys are running as a unit of 4, which I don't mind you doing when you're playing against a Muradin/Tracer, and they could jump on you at any point. But this has allowed Zealots to read where they're going on the map because they're using Abathar Mines to scout out their opponent, and they're just taking away their Giants. They're pushing in for aggressive plays. They have the Mercs pushing in all spots here, as they're just doing their best to grab everything they can experience and letting Abathar handle the rest.
Now, also, while we're talking about the Good Guys, look at the level 7 talent on Oriel. Instead of going for the cooldown reduction, we now have the Energized Core taken. And this is basically for the reasons that we pointed out earlier. You don't have that hyper carry Vala Lunara that provides you with a ton of energy, a lot of hopes that you can use for heals. So you need to get that from somewhere else. And that's why Energized Core is now coming into play, because you have much better chances of just generating that hope with that talent. It helps you a lot with the damage against heroes and also with the damage against the minions. So this is one of the adjustments made by Kronos, because he realizes that he doesn't have that constant battery of hope.
Which does mean his auto attacks, of course, will give him that hope. Here is that level 8. 9 about to hit for both of our teams as Dahaka's pushing in the top lane, while Zealots decide, okay, we'll go ahead and forfeit that fort in the top, but we'll go ahead and take a temple at the same time. Trade is going to work out in the favor of the Team Good Guys, though, as they're already doing damage to that fort and soaking the middle lane, so they're working on that experience, and that will give them a nice little hike, a little jump in that EXP.
Yeah, the top 4 taken out, that's a big win for the Good Guys, actually. It's the one thing in their draft that is really strong. It is the global. Abathar can't counter-soak that yet. And even with the mule that we are seeing for Shad, he is just not able to use that for any structures. What I also find interesting is that we have still 5 heroes basically down here, as Abathar was even helping out a little bit as they're going for the temple, whereas we see Good Guys splitting heroes on every lane. Here's a level 10 now. Small window for the Good Guys, but the Zealots should just move back and take it easy for a moment.
They are taking it nice and easy and slow. Do have Mopsio for the flank, and Mopsio will come in and get on top of that Ariel if she can. Jumps right onto it. Stormbolt comes out. Anti turns around and looks at Poik. Poik is the main damage for Zealot, so he wants to hold him back.
Mopsio is low, but here comes the Avatar. Already Ariel with the ult being used, and well, Raid Boss is in trouble. Shad on the copy is still in the middle of the opponent's team, but with the copy blown away and Mopsio low, we see them moving out. Antihero looking for another quick dash. That could have been a kill if he gets close enough for the taunt. That might have been all they needed. And now all of a sudden the Good Guys have the momentum here.
They're at least going to get a fort here. The cleanse comes out. Will be right on top of that Tracer. So Poik turns around and goes for the fight as Mopsio rolls in. He does miss out on the Stormbolt, but he's doing his best to body block BKB. BKB will survive though. Remember, double support is keeping him alive.
Yeah, right now Poik gets the Abathar hat. I wouldn't really have minded if they are using that on the side of Muradin. A nice taunt comes out, and the heal is saving Tracer for now. So Raid Boss was attempting to get another kill here, but they still save the target. And all of a sudden, the Good Guys, maybe not in experience, but when it comes to the structural advantage on the map, they find themselves in a fantastic spot.
Holding the situation here. Anti comes in, gets another stun on top of Poik. Remember, cleanse was used earlier, down for about another 30 seconds. Zombie, though, comes in and gets a big Howling Blast. Ariel has been locked down. Can they get the kill?
Shad once again with a copy here, so they take the Siege Giants, at least for now. They sacrifice again the copy for Abathar. But especially Poik on his Tracer is having a rough time getting the damage in because he's always pressured by the AoE that we're seeing out from the Good Guys. Especially Tassadar is pushing her back over and over again. All in all, we still see the teams nearly on even experience. But this is definitely something where in team fights, the Good Guys are tough to take down. And Mopsio just eats one bullet after another every single battle.
Eats another bullet, should be able to heal up soon here. Remember that Stormbolt he has gotten picked up for damage level 1. He's going to have that third win, but still, he'll be okay. Rhaegar can drop him off on the hills, and Team Good Guys, they're keeping up in the team fights. The good news for Zealots is they haven't straight up died in a fight yet. That allows Abder to keep soaking on the experience in the middle whenever you bring out the hats, but he's had to put a lot of attention on these Zealots. Finally, Dahaka does peel up at the top, and this might be the point where Zealots can get a kill.
Shad is really limited with his Abathar play at this point because Dahaka is always threatening him. Nice move here, getting the Ancestral in, and this is the time to fight. Dahaka needs to join now, but he's still up at the top, not moving in just yet, and the Good Guys are on the run here. Mopsio is low, needs to be careful. Here comes Dahaka from the back, eats the stun, goes for the burrow just barely. Shad with a copy, could maybe lock him down here. The Tracer bomb is dodged, and Tracer herself locked down and taken apart. That's the damage gone, and the Zealots are on the run with the Good Guys, about to pick up the level 13 talent.
The Good Guys are in a really good spot here after they get the kill on Tracer. That means Zealots won't be able to get into this fight. They don't have any damage, and they're going to turn around and grab the boss because of it. And here they are, burning it down with giant pressure on the bottom, too. This could be a moment for Team Good Guys to keep pushing and look for a keep wall.
I really like the way that they're calling in this game, a lot more than what we've seen on the last one. This seems way more that they're on the same page. It was also good play from BKB, dodging the Tracer bomb. If that's not the case, he's dead immediately. So that was really well played on his part, making sure that he doesn't fall. And now they have the talent lead, they have a boss pushing, and there's still 2 temples that they can take. So the Good Guys try and get the most out of this advantage. And if you compare the way they play here to what we've seen on Battlefield, this looks like 2 different teams. So this is way more like what we have seen against Team Dignitas, for example.
Yes, much more comfortable. And they're so comfortable, they're pushing in for another kill. Cleanse comes out, but Poik loses half his health. Turns around, looks at Anti. Anti will keep up with the parries here. Zarmi's in the back line. They decided to go ahead and commit fully to this fight. A second clone finally comes in from Shad. So we have double the art, that's double the fun, as Howling Blast hit all 5 members here. And finally, Poik will be pulled back as he's too low.
Yeah, Poik is in so much trouble. It's really rough for Poik to play here without the Tassadar shield. It's a massive problem. And they felt confident that they could make this work. And I actually thought they would have way better chances to run the Tracer with Abathar here. But as it turns out, Poik just has massive problems getting into these fights because he's always pressured by AoE spells, has to move out early, and can't deliver as much damage as he was hoping for. At this point, we're seeing him on 20,000 damage, compared to Greymane on 24,000. Even Abathar has currently more than him.
Hang on, Mopsio. A little bit too far forward. Is going to pull back, but the combo comes out once again, and Mopsio takes the bullet. Abathur, you're right. I keep watching him. He hasn't had the chance to leave his keep area. I mean, why would he? With the Dahaka floating around on the map, you have to wait for a brush sucker to happen, but at that point, you have to use Ultimate Evolution and actually make it a 5v5. Team Good Guys in a good spot.
The problem is also with the talents that are taken so far. It would have been, I think it would have been better for him to go for a symbiote focus here. Because so far, Mule, for example, has not given them any value whatsoever. It has been a useless talent since the Good Guys were very decisive about taking down structures. Now, on the other hand, this might be the fight that the Good Guys were waiting for. Dahaka is going to move in any moment. He's already on the way, tries to get the isolation and does get it against Rhaegar. In the same time, Poik is still running, but gets the hat, tries to go back into the fight. The copy is down, everybody is low. Anti eats the damage, but it's not enough to drop him. The double support still keeping him alive, and the Zealots have to move out once again. They try to force the fight before the Good Guys hit level 16, try to get the access to the temple, but they just cannot confirm any kills.
Having such a hard time there. Ariel and Taz are doing a great job of staying in the back. There was a moment where they almost had that Greymane kill, but the Aegis came out and immediately a shield from Tassar at the same time. Archon's being used as a deterrent too to make sure that Tracer isn't diving that back line. The slow and the damage from him is too much. Team Good Guys level 16 to 14 and catapult pressure on the bottom are just running away with this game right now. Zealots may have to get 16 and try to force another fight.
Yeah, the one problem that I have with this, and it's also where I expected the Zealots would go a little bit differently when I saw the draft, they didn't spec into damage on Abathur, and therefore I don't really see them go into damage now on Muradin with how they went with the build. And then they have most of their damage simply on Tracer, and Tracer just doesn't have the impact that they were hoping for. If they spec Abathur more into a symbiote build and try to help out Arthas and Muradin in these fights, I can see them have a little bit more success with it, but right now their biggest problem is getting kills.
Gotta agree with you. I would love to see that Muradin at least build into the Skullcracker selected in the Axe. I don't mind a level 7, but giving the Axe at 16 might be a necessary tool at this point.
Yeah. But the problem is you don't have the attack speed on your 7, and you don't have it on the side of Abathur either, who usually takes it on 4. So if you get the slower, if you just try to proc off Arthur's slow, then you can definitely do that, but they need more damage. They right now just simply don't have what it takes to take a target down.
Well, don't forget, you also have the Ultimate Evolution, so you'll have 2 Arthurs to float around. So you can maybe say, Shad, all right, go on this character, I'm going to go with you on Muradin, and then keep him alive. But we'll see if Zealots will do that. They still need half a level to even get to that spot to force those fights.
Yeah.
And for the moment, Team Good Guys aren't letting up. They've grabbed Giants on both sides of the battlegrounds. They keep pushing in the bottom. They're bolstering the catapults.
Good Guys have way better shot calling this game, as I said before, than they did in the previous one. So they have taken a keep, and from a structural point of view, they look fantastic. It all comes down to the team fight again. The Zealots need 16, and once they have that, they need to make sure that they are winning a fight bigly. So the only problem that we're having for now is if the Good Guys just time that properly with the camp that they're now taking, they will force the Zealots to react to the bot lane, and then the temple should go to Good Guys. But Zealots, they're ignoring the camp. They're just saying, guys, we need to fight now. And they went in to give them the axe.
Okay, so here it is. We'll keep an eye on Mopsio, see if they can get the fight they want to break out. Mopsio moves in, drops the W, is looking at BKB. BKB is dancing around the Temple Guardian here to make sure Stormbolt does not land on him. Nice job of using that environment to his side. Taunt comes out as well as Crucible on Mopsio.
Yeah, immediately though, Avatar being used now, starting to move in, so now he gets the damage. Mopsio has more damage now available, jumps in once again, doesn't have the stun here. Poik needs to be careful of Varian, and already the copy is down. Ancestral hits too late, Arthas falls. And we have the Good Guys moving in a 5 versus 3 essentially at this point, trying to chase Poik down. They're successful doing that, and now they're attempting to hunt the dog. Mopsio also on the run. Dwarf wants to hop out. The tongue misses as we have the Good Guys pushing into the bot lane, trying to end the game here.
Yeah, this should be game here with Greymane. If they get one more kill, it's definitely game. Grandpa moves forward, brings down the slows, trying to buy time as much as he can. 15 seconds for Arthas to come up, 20 for Tracer. Raid Boss is already on the core, and he is chunking it here, dropping it down to 60, down to 50. Mule comes out as well, and the shields, and it looks like it's going to be game over as Team Good Guys comes in and they tie up the series against the Zealots.
Well done by the Good Guys. Good game here. Definitely struggling at first, getting their kills in, But at the same time, the same issue was also true for the Zealots. They just didn't confirm the kills. They didn't really fall victim to any of these taunt and cursed bullet combos. You could see the attempt to drop Murden or Arthur several times from the good guys, and it wasn't successful because there was a quick cleanse and then there was a heal. They could easily just sustain themselves. But Tracer never got the pressure in that she really wanted. So every time we saw her move in, Varian was on her, was trying to zone her out. We saw also all the AoE coming out, and even with the shields from Abathur, there was never this safety for Poik where he could just say, okay, I'm going into the backline, I'm doing the damage now. So he was always zoned away from especially Raid Boss, of course. So much better shot calling on the side of the good guys. Zealots lacking the damage in their composition. Good zoning from Antihero in particular. Again, I think he redeemed himself with this variant for the Nubarak play that we saw earlier, where he was basically just the punching ball of Team Zealots. So yeah, I hope that this is indicative for the rest of the series. I want to have a 5-mapper finally once again. We have 1-1 already, so this map was already pretty solid.
Well, we at least have a game number 3 here, and we'll get to that right after this commercial break. We're all tied up between the Zealots and the good guys. This is the HGC.